Hi buddies, it's me, Titi. Today we are going to make one of my most favorite cakes of all time. This is my fresh apple cake. This cake is always such a huge hit with my family and friends. Let's begin by preheating our oven to 350 degrees. And remember, Titi wants you to be extra safe. So make sure you always have a grown-up there with you to help out in the kitchen. I have 2 cups of peeled and chopped up apples. Make sure you chop them up pretty small and have a grown-up help you out with this part if you need to. Let's put them in a big bowl right here. Let's follow that up with some sugar. 1 cup of sugar to be exact. And now for 1 cup of brown sugar. Now take a spoon and mix the apple and sugars together. Now let's continue with our dry ingredients, starting with some flour. Let's add 2 cups of flour. Terrific! Now let's move on to some cinnamon. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon to be precise. Let's add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And for the last of our dry ingredients, half a teaspoon of salt. Now I'm gonna take my spoon and mix together the dry ingredients. This part doesn't take too long. Just keep mixing until you notice that the cinnamon has been evenly distributed. Now let's move back to the big bowl that we started with. Let's add some vegetable oil now. Half a cup. And now 2 large eggs. And finally, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Let's mix these ingredients together. Awesome! And finally, let's combine our bowl of dry ingredients into our bowl of wet ingredients. And stir it up well. Keep gently mixing the batter until you notice that the flour has completely disappeared into the rest of the batter. This cake batter will be fairly thick. Now that our batter is all mixed up, let's put it in some cake pans. Here I have 2 9-inch round cake pans. I lined them with a circle of parchment paper and also sprayed them with non-stick cooking spray so that our cake won't stick to the sides. Now it's time to try to evenly spread it out between the 2 pans. Take a spoon or a spatula and gently spread out the batter. Don't worry about making it perfectly flat because it will naturally even out on its own in the oven. Time to put our apple cakes in the oven. Put your cakes next to each other on the middle rack of your oven. And now let's bake the cakes for about an hour at 350 degrees or until a toothpick inserted into the middle comes out clean. Yay! Let's take our apple cake out of the oven and check to see if it's done. It smells amazing. It smells like apples and cinnamon. Look at how nice and golden brown it is. Let's do the trusty toothpick test. All clean. Our cakes are finished. Now let's leave them in the pans to cool for at least 10 minutes or so before turning them out onto the cooling rack. Then we want to let them cool completely to room temperature before we can put the frosting on. Now that our cakes are nice and cool, we can move on to prepare the cream cheese frosting, starting with 8 ounces of cream cheese that softened at room temperature for about an hour or 2. Let's go ahead and add that to our mixer. Now let's add 1 stick, which is the same as half a cup of softened unsalted butter. And let's close our mixer and turn it on low. Once they start to combine, we can turn the speed up. And now let's turn it up to high. Looks good. And now let's add the next ingredients. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And finally, to give the frosting its sweetness, 2 cups of powdered sugar. Let's turn the mixture on low to let it combine a little bit before we start to turn it up. Keep your mixer running for a couple of minutes to ensure your frosting is nice and smooth. Looks terrific! And now to decorate our cake. As you can see, I took the 2 layers of cake and I cut off the edges to give us a nice round surface for the frosting to adhere to. Let's start by taking one of the 2 layers and placing it on this cake decorating stand. We'll take a good amount of our cream cheese frosting and slather it over the top. This is going to be the middle of the sandwich that holds together the top and bottom layers of the cake. Make sure to spread the frosting all the way out towards the edges. Looking great! Let's take our second layer of cake and place it on the top. And now we simply cover the whole thing with the rest of our frosting. Make sure to cover the top as well as the sides of the cake. I like to dump my frosting on the top of the cake and then carefully spread it down over the sides. Once you have the frosting distributed the way you want, take a plastic spreader and try to even out some of the lines from the knife. And now you can either leave the cake just like this, or you can decorate it some more, using whatever types of cake decorations you have on hand. Today, I'm going to put some sprinkles. I have some white and some gold sprinkles to fancy up our cake a little bit. I'll just drop these randomly over the top of the cake to give it a little pizzazz. And now for some tiny gold flecks. Check it out, the sprinkles made my fingers all gold. Well, I think we're done. Our apple cake turned out so beautifully. Let's give it a taste. Here goes. Wow, that's extra good. The cake is soft and chewy, and it's sweet because of the apples. The hint of cinnamon goes perfectly, and the cream cheese frosting keeps it from being too sweet. It's the perfect thing to tie the whole cake together. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I had so much fun making this fresh apple cake, and I hope you'll give it a try too. I'll see you guys again soon, and happy creating!